Hey everyone, this is Tuesday, April the 21st. It's 7:30 and I'm Eric Turway. I'm running for Congress and that means it's time for us to have our weekly chat. Oop. Hopefully you can hear me on TikTok now that I have the microphone closer to my face. As always, please make sure that you put your comments down in the comment section. Comments, questions, just anything you want us to know. Um, Normally, I show up, I talk about the things that are important to us for the week. Maybe you guys can hear me now. Man, I'm sorry. This has been one heck of a week. I'm really sorry. For those who are not on TikTok, you can probably hear me. And those who are on TikTok now, you can hear me, hopefully. And if you can't, please, please, please put it in the chat to let me know. Um, So again, my name is Eric Turway. It's Tuesday. We get together once a week to talk about the things that are important to us, to let you know what is going on with our campaign, and to ask you for your feedback. You know, what's important to you, what's going on out there in our district. Remember, our district is 22,000 square miles, so it's pretty big. We can't be everywhere all the time, and we rely on you guys letting us know what matters the most to you. So do put in the comments any questions or concerns that you have. I think that, as usual, the war in Iran is top of mind just because it is costing so much money. We have a representative who went to Congress and said, I am going to be part of this Caucus. We're going to reduce the federal deficit. We are going to cut spending. That's not exactly, I think, a responsible way of governing, but I do understand that it is a way that people think about this stuff. That being said, he went to Washington and he cut all the programs that help Oklahomans. He cut Medicaid. He cut, that cuts our Sooner Care. He cut Medicare. He cut SNAP. He cuts all of these programs that help our district. And then he goes ahead and votes yes on a bill that adds trillions of dollars to our debt. And so, on the one hand, you can argue with a conservative voter and say, okay, I mean, I get it. You want to reduce our debt, so you're going to cut our services to do it. I mean, I guess that's one way to do that. But you don't get to go to Washington and say that you're going to cut our debt while also cutting our services. Like, you don't get to do both of those things. We don't get to get kicked while we're down, is basically what I'm saying. And that's what he's doing. And he was asked about this when he had he had some event where he was, this is really weird, like he was filling out his paperwork, his actual paperwork to file for office in a room full of people. It was very, very strange, very, very weird. He's a weird guy. And I would encourage you guys to go look. There's a news station down in Durant that did a news story about it. And he's weird. The quotes are weird. He literally shut down the interview because he said, and I'm just paraphrasing, but I swear to God, he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna stop it here because the longer I go on, the more I'm gonna get in to stuff I don't want to get into." And it's like, yeah, exactly. And you don't have any of the answers. He doesn't have any of the answers, and so this is kind of one of those reasons why we do this every week. I just did an interview for an endorsement, and we talked about that. Sorry, someone said which party is favored in Oklahoma. Normally you would say a Republican. However, this cycle we have seen such crazy turnouts and such wild swings in the electorate that it's really difficult unless you have like a plus 30 district to just say for sure, that district is out of reach. And so Yeah, we do have a Republican leaning state for sure. That's no lie. But I would say that we're definitely kind of in a period where there's more parity in the minds of voters, I think. Sorry, let me just look back through the things, the chat. Let me see if there's any chat over here. Nope. I'm trying a new program tonight. I hope those of you who are on Facebook are seeing this. We're also going live on YouTube and Twitch as well at the same time. And I hope that's working. I don't actually have, I guess I could check that. And I do apologize. Um, this is just what it looks like when your campaign does not have tons and tons of people, because you don't want to spend money on tons and tons of people. And honestly, a lot of the volunteers are kind of sucked into the big congressional districts here in Oklahoma, which are 5 and 1. And that's okay. I completely understand why people want to get involved in those districts. They're nice and small and they're tidy and they're urban. It's so much easier to campaign in those districts. But I do have a few volunteers who have reached out, and that's when you know, man, these are some tried and true people. Like these are the real godsends, who are like, hey, Eric, I live in a neighborhood and I don't think there are any other Democrats. In fact, I've never met another Democrat, but I want to get involved. So, I just want to say thank you to all those who might be showing up. Hey there, Stacy. I'm glad you showed up tonight. Thanks for showing up. You guys will notice our numbers are really down. It's one of those, every time we post a video, we get a fraction of the views that we used to get here on TikTok. So I don't know what it is with the algorithm, but if you could like and share this stream tonight, so that we get a few more views and maybe a few more people show up, that would really be helpful. Yes, we will be in Muskogee this week. I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll be in Muskogee on Thursday. There's a rally there for a bunch of candidates who are running in that area and statewide. Excuse me. And then on Saturday, or no, I'm sorry, on Friday, there is a Democratic Party event in Oklahoma City at the Tower Theater. And there are tickets available for that fundraiser. There will be, they say like over 100 candidates will be there. I'm sure that's just means that like 100 of them have said, yeah, I'll claim my free ticket. So, go with a tempered heart. Don't expect every Democrat in Oklahoma to be there. But it should be a really great coming together of a lot of progressives. A lot of the Oklahomans who are running are progressives. We have a lot of progressives running. And I think that's because we have seen the damage that the extreme right can do to a state after so many years. And the answer to that, the antidote to that is progressivism. And so we got a lot of that on the ballot. And I hope to see you there, Stacy. I hope you're going to make the trip to Oklahoma City on Friday at the All In rally. Yes, impeachment, prosecute, absolutely. In fact, I just got done talking with a group about an endorsement. It's called Citizens Impeachment. And this group understands that the role of Congress is to investigate crimes committed by the executive branch. And so we have very clear evidence that this president has committed crime after crime after crime, treason, tyranny, I mean, you name it, corruption. We've got lots of articles of impeachment ready to introduce on day one. Because it is time to remove this man from office. And honestly, the 25th Amendment is a really nice idea, and it is, I guess you could just say it's kind of cute in practice, but it's never going to happen. Those sycophants are never going to grow a spine. Are you kidding? We can't wait for them to do that. So we have to act as a Congress to remove this man from office. Good. I'm glad to see that you're going to be there, Stacy. I'm really, really glad. So, every week we talk about what we could afford if instead of bombing Iran, we resource bombed Oklahoma. And so we could fund Sooner Care for 10 years with just 28 billion of the dollars that we've spent. And remember, we've spent like 50 billion and they've asked for, hundreds of more, like 200 more billion. Experts are saying that it could cost and will cost about $1 trillion when it's all said and done. Let's see here. We could wipe out student loan debt for millions of Oklahomans with $200 billion, which is that supplemental request. In just the first 6 days of the war, we spent $11 billion, which would have funded the entire National Park Service for 3 years, or we could have paid 166,000 teachers for a year. Just added 166,000 teachers to their ranks. And then with $1 trillion, which is what they're expecting that it could cost, we could have a Medicare for All down payment, every man, woman, and child covered. And instead, we are determined to destroy and threaten another country. We are playing our part in holding the world economy hostage because this is a mess that our country started. I mean, we didn't, necessarily ourselves do this, but our president did, and so we're responsible for this mess. And yeah, we've got to take care of that. And our representative, like I said, he is very, very much, hey, we're going to slash and burn our budget because we need to reduce our deficit. And yet he's allowing this billion or $2 billion a day war to continue by blocking war power resolutions that he knows he should be voting for, and they're only losing by one vote. I mean, this is the thing. We have to remember that every single one of these seats matters because we just lost that war powers resolution by one vote. And yeah, there was a Democrat who voted, and man alive, I hope he gets primaried and then and voted out, honestly. But yeah, that's something that we need to keep in mind. Every single one of these is important. Am I against racism? Of course. Absolutely 100% against racism. I am, I don't talk about my own identity a lot, but I am a gay man. And I know what it's like to be discriminated against. However, you can't just, if you just walked past me in a store, unless you just thought, man, he smells so good, there's no way he could be straight. Unless you did that, you wouldn't know. And so I don't know what it's like to be discriminated against just like that, just because of the color of my skin. But I have empathy for discrimination. I know what that feels like. So absolutely 100% against discrimination of any sort, but certainly racism has a special place in this country when it comes to discrimination. That is the ultimate sin. The original sin of this country is our slavery and the ties that it has, and the ties our racism has to it. So, okay. Yeah, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, they're a great organization. They're the kind of organization that does the dirty work of making sure that we know who the bad actors are in our country, who are the organizations that push racial supremacy or religious supremacy or any of those things. I don't really understand this conversation about bologna and Vienna sausage. This is silly. Are there any? Yeah, thank you. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with the whole conversation. So, let's see here. the impacts that, so we talked about how the one big beautiful bill was passed last summer, and everybody said, hey, listen, you're not going to feel this immediately. Now you're going to start seeing the effects of that bill take hold, and they start taking hold right about now, this summer. That's when more and more of our hospitals, which as you know, 2/3 of them are critically underfunded, they are going to start having those conversations with their communities about, hey, listen, we're going to have to shut our doors soon. This is something we need to be preparing for. And I hope that you get some notice, honestly, because there are some communities who aren't getting that much notice, who aren't getting any notice. They're just being shut. And that's something that we should all be very, very concerned about, because when one hospital closes, those patients have to go somewhere. And while I know that it may be a really long drive for some people, and there are some who won't make that drive, many others will. It'll be a sacrifice, but they will, because their life depends on it. And so they'll do it. That means that the services available that are available at the hospitals that are still open are going to be completely overtaxed. People are going to be going to them in droves, and then those doctors are going to be overworked. They're going to be overburdened. The lines for you to see a doctor are going to be long. People are going to die. They're going to die, and not because they're having an emergency situation, but because they have a chronic illness and they're having to change locations to see a doctor, and they're not able to do that fast enough to get the services they need, and they're going to suffer or they're going to die. We know that these are the outcomes, and so it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable for somebody who posts Bible verse after Bible verse after Bible verse on his Facebook page, like Josh Burkeen does. It is unacceptable for someone like that who claims to be a Christian to cut those services time and time again. It just does not jive with his faith. And you don't get to talk about that stuff and be a hypocrite without being called, a hypocrite. And that's what he is. He's a hypocrite. Okay. Just looking through my comments real quick. Again, thank everybody for showing up tonight. I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you guys are following us on all of our social media, because here on Facebook or on TikTok, and again, I'm going live on several different things, but if you're seeing this on TikTok, we've been having a really hard time getting our viewership up and our videos to be seen. I don't know what's wrong with the algorithm, but things that used to have many, many, many views now will have just a handful, and it's very strange. So make sure that you're following us on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on all of those things, on Twitch. I mean, we're everywhere, I swear to God. We're trying really hard to reach you where you are. So make sure that you're connecting with us. YouTube, all of the places. So last Tuesday, Stacy says, I was in Kingston for Marshall County reorganization. That's excellent. And I'm going to be in Kingston next month in May. Let me see if I have it on this calendar. The 28th, the 28th I'll be in Tishomingo, and the 26th I'll be in Durant. But I know that I think it's around the 13th, somewhere around there, I'm going to be in Kingston. And so for those who are down in that area, we will, we hope to see you there. Make sure to check out on our website. We have all the, I should have looked there, golly. We have all the details for all of our events there. And there's a lot of counties getting reorganized. When I talked about going to Oklahoma City and seeing those candidates, and there are a lot of progressives who are involved, there is an energy in our party right now that we haven't seen in a long time. And there are counties that haven't had an organized Democratic Party in years. Some of them, more than a decade even. and they are reorganizing. They're getting themselves together. They are reforming their party. They're knocking on doors. They are talking to their neighbors. And we are becoming a force in Oklahoma politics once again. And that's a really good thing, because as we see, when the extreme right has nothing but control, like they have in Oklahoma since 2012, I think. It's just really, really damaging. It's really, really damaging. 2014, actually. All right. So we were just talking about how all of those cuts are going to be starting to hit us now, and I just want you guys to keep your eyes out for it. We know that it's coming. Start to kind of prepare yourself, and get ready for those conversations in your communities. You're going to be having to go to some meetings. Remember, this is an all hands on deck election cycle, so you should be attending your local Democratic meetings. You should be attending your local labor meetings. You should be attending your city council meetings. Make sure that you're attending open school board meetings. Go to these places where Democrats have been kind of lazy in some areas and have not been doing all of the work. And sometimes the work is just showing up and sitting there. That's sometimes all it is just showing up and saying, hi, my name's Eric Turway and I'm a Democrat, and just being in the room and letting them know we are here. We are watching. We are part of this process. And yeah, we're going to take the House. You're absolutely right. There's no question about that. Now we're just looking, how big of a wave can we make this? How much energy can we get behind our movement? Because if we get enough of it, we can make the tsunami happening in the House so large that we also take the Senate. And I know that there are people who would say, oh no, that's not possible. It absolutely is. There are seats that are coming into play, and some that aren't today, but I promise you in 6 months, you watch. Some of those lean Republican seats today will be a toss-up by the time November comes. And those seats that are lean Republican today were solid Republican 6 months ago, and many of them were strong Republican a year ago. So we have seen these districts moving slowly to the left and not even that slowly over the last year. There are districts that Donald Trump won by 15, 20 points, and there are Democrats who are winning those districts by 20 points. I mean, we're talking about 30 and 40 point swings in some of these states, or in some of these districts. And so the idea that you would have a district where, a Republican has been winning by 20 points and that's just too safe to compete in, forget it. We don't buy that anymore. We're all hands on deck. We are going to challenge as many seats as we can find people to run for sure. And it's going to be more than a blue wave. I want you to think like, they really like to talk about the Bible. I want you to think about the flood. The flood. And there's going to be 2 little Republicans from every state that make it through. And they're all going to be shepherded onto that one ship. And the rest of us, it's just going to be Democrats. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a progressive flood fill the House of Representatives and wash into the Senate. We could get so much done if we took control of Congress. And when I say get so much done, we could just do what Congress is supposed to do. Like hold the executive branch accountable, do their jobs, hold town halls. I mean, talk to your constituents. It's just crazy. And I just want to say, that reminds me of something. The president said something the other day that just blew my mind. He said, I understand that occasionally members of Congress have to vote with their districts. Occasionally? Are you flipping crazy? Our representatives should be voting with their districts every single time they cast a vote. Donald Trump lives in Mar-a-Lago, and Mar-a-Lago isn't in Oklahoma. So he shouldn't have a say in Josh Burkeen's vote on anything because it doesn't affect him. Josh Burkeen should be voting for us. And that just blew my mind that the president so clearly doesn't understand that we elect them to represent us, not their party, not their president, to represent us. That one person is supposed to be our champion, Eastern Oklahoma's champion in Washington, D.C. And he is a hypocritical coward that makes me sick. And we just have to fire him, people. We have to. Virginia redistricting, big win. You know, I didn't even see how many seats they did it by. I know that there was one state senator who was pushing for a 10-1, I think, or something. I mean, it was really extreme. But you know what? I think that you reap what you sow. And the Republicans started this. And if somehow it hurts them in the end, I love it. I love it. And I hate this gerrymandering stuff, but this is the fire with fire that we've been talking about, people. It's something we don't have to like, but it's something we have to do. You know, it's just like swallowing a pill that you don't want to take, or cough syrup or something. The SAVE Act went down today. I honestly didn't even hear that. I've been preparing for the live, messing with my technical stuff for like an hour and a half. So I didn't even hear that. That makes me so happy. I honestly didn't think that our Congress had it in them to do the right thing, and I am shocked that they did. So, wow. I mean, I doubt that our representative had anything to do with that. I'm pretty sure he was pretty big on it. Oh gosh, listen, people, you have got to look him up. He is not one of those, I think a lot of people just kind of assume Josh Burkeen was just this quiet representative who's doing nothing, who's just a guy who shows up and votes exactly like he's told. And while that is all kind of true, like he does show up and he votes exactly like his handlers tell him to, he's not busy. He's actually kind of really busy, and he is busy undermining our democracy. He is busy, adding to our deficit, cutting our programs. And I'm telling you, like, ask him any question under the sun. You're going to get a really, really surface answer at best, and then he is going to pivot to something about the founders or the Federalist Papers, or he's going to quote the Constitution, some weird statute or something that you've never heard of. He's going to quote the Bible, usually something from Paul, who I don't have much respect for, or the Old Testament, as if we're Israel or something, and then he's going to deflect, and he's not going to answer any follow-up questions. And you've never seen him do a session like this. Because he can't answer any questions. Because it is true, he just shows up and he does, vote exactly like he's told. But he is also busy building the white Christian nationalist infrastructure. He is spending his time doing this stuff. And there's a whole group of them in Washington. I don't want to pretend like he's special. There's a whole group of them that are doing this stuff. And so we just have to get these people unelected from office. We need to bring them back to Oklahoma, back to their districts, and send in the reinforcements, send in the progressives. That's what we need to be doing. It's something we've got to do it now. Oh, and I'm so sorry. I just sent Tiffany an invitation. I'm sorry about that, Tiffany. It's because my fingers just accidentally do that stuff when I am trying to scroll. So my apologies there. Send him back to the family farm. I think he bulldozes. He's involved in dirt moving and stuff, which is excellent. We have lots of need for that here at home. So I think his services are better spent here. We have people who know how to think. We have people who know how to listen to Oklahomans, and we have people who are ready to stand up to the executive branch who are prepared to take his place. And so yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Um, Are there any questions this week? Again, just to run down our schedule, we've got Muskogee on Thursday. Please, if you're anywhere in the area, come and see us. Cindy Munson will be there. All the candidates, or many of the candidates for Senate, will be there. My primary opponent will be there. Local candidates in the Muskogee area will be there. It'll be a great chance for you to kind of connect with all of the candidates if you're in that area. Kind of a one-stop shop. If you've ever wanted to see any of them, that would be a great time to do it all in one place. So I know it's at the Martin Luther King Jr. Center, and it's on Thursday. I think it's around 5 or 6. So just check out our website, turwayforcongress.com. Go to our events page. And in fact, if you go to our website, the first thing that pops up is a pop-up that will take you to our events page if you click on it. And there you can see our events. And it's one of our events that's listed this week there in Muskogee. And then on Friday, if you're so interested, there's going to be a great gathering of a lot of the candidates here in Oklahoma City at the Tower Theater. There are tickets on sale, and it does require a ticket, so make sure that you go to the OK Dems website, and you can, I'm sure, purchase a ticket from there. Again, all of the good candidates will be there. All the people you want to see, connect with, take your picture with, have a chat with, ask questions of, have a drink with, eat dinner with. I mean, it's a chance for you to socialize with candidates in a way that you oftentimes don't get to. And it's a great way for us to connect with people in a really relaxed setting that's just very different from knocking on a door or doing a phone call or something like that. So it's just going to be a really, really fun time, I think. I'm making the drive, so I hope that you guys will too. It should be a good time. And so that's this week. And then next week we will have our live stream again on Tuesday, at 7:30. And we've got more events coming up, like we had talked about, Durant, Tishomingo, Kingston. There's a few down the road. So please reach out. We've had a few different people reach out. One from Okmulgee just a couple days ago saying, hey, I don't know how to get involved, but I would love to, be a part of the campaign. I'd love to spread your message to my community, and I love that. I absolutely love that. We're going to find a way. We're going to find a way for them to get involved. And they told us, like, here are my means. This is what I have. This is what I don't have. I don't have this, but I have, this. And that's excellent. That's all we need to know. Where are you? And how can we connect with you to help further the movement in this area? We're building a network. People talk about these blue dots, and we're connecting those dots. And once we do, it's kind of like a web. And this web will be so strong and so tight that, I'm making so many friends and so many connections, so many new relationships in this district. And I'm seeing other people do that with each other too. It's a really special time to be a Democrat and certainly a progressive in Oklahoma. And I am keenly aware of that. And I am cherishing every second of it. So I hope you guys are too. Understand we're not going to win them all. But it's going to be bittersweet in November when some of us win, and then, there are others who will lose. But we're going to celebrate the wins, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we're going to push forward. And as progressives, that's definitionally like what we are. We are about moving forward always. A blue carpet, yeah, they're going to roll out the blue carpet for us. I hope so. Don't forget, what do we stand for? We stand for Medicare for all. We stand for quality public education for everybody. We stand for, a population that is completely housed. We stand for mental health assistance. We stand for the things that I think most people believe in. We believe in people helping people because that's what your government should be doing for you, because the government is just the people coming together and saying, here are the things that we can't do. I can't pave a road by myself, but we can do that together. We can't offer health care to all. I can't do that myself, but we can do that together. I can't protect us from foreign invasion by myself, but together we can do these things. That's what a government means. It's us coming together. And so we stand for coming together and building things up. And I think that at a time when there is another party in this country who is so hell bent on tearing things down and erasing some of the best parts of us, that's a really important distinction to make. We are not about to tear down America. We want to build it up better than it was before. And I don't think that that's a controversial idea. It certainly shouldn't be. All right. Any other questions before we wrap it up for tonight? Again, my name is Eric Turway. I'm running for Congress in Oklahoma's 2nd Congressional District. If there's any way that you feel like you could get involved, maybe you can make a social media post for us once a week. Maybe you feel like you've got $5 or $10 you'd like to throw our way. We would love to do more with our social media, but it is kind of expensive. So if there are ways that you want to get involved, either with your time or your treasure, just sharing and liking at the end of the day is enough. But if there's any other way that you can envision getting involved and helping out, please reach out. And even if you don't know how, you might help out, but you want to, send us a message. We absolutely have a place for you. This is your campaign. This is your country. And you absolutely have a place with us. So thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. We will see you guys next Tuesday, 7:30, same time, same place. Remember, we hopefully are on YouTube and Twitch in addition to our Facebook and our TikTok. Thank you guys again for showing up. Take care of yourselves, and if you can, take care of someone else really close to you. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye. All right, let me figure out how to stop it.